wasn't that important.
And good morning and welcome to the Real Monica Adams Show, 7 o'clock in the morning on a Monday. I'm going to give you the forecast in just a second. Just want to welcome you into our beautiful Christmas studios, brought to you by our friends at Invita Health and Wellness. In fact, you're going to hear from Dr. Sara Franco today. It is truly a whole hour of Ask the Doctors Medical Monday. We're going to talk about sleep. We're going to talk about soy. Now, one of our, Marilyn actually, I believe, is the viewer that wanted to know if you eat too much soy, is that a problem with estrogen? We can actually ask both Dr. Franco and Dr. Willey on their viewpoints on that. We're going to talk about food sensitivities, food intolerance. Maybe you have food allergies, inflammation. What does that all do to the body? We'll also be talking about not just soy and sleep with Dr. Willey, but annual visits like colonoscopies, PSA tests, if you get your mammograms, all those things, or doing our self-test as women. It's all about you and your health this hour. We're also going to wish the best to Ruby Lee from Foley, Missouri. She continues on The Voice. Now, I know a lot of people were writing me over the weekend saying that, and I remember this from a few years ago when I was with Channel 5. If you have DirecTV and Tegna, they're in their talks, and so that means it's blocked and people aren't able to watch. I don't know if they fixed that. I haven't turned the TV on to see, but let me know, because that would affect me as well. I think my husband has direct stream or something like that. I think you'll be able to watch on your app, and you need to download the Voice app anyway to be able to vote for Ruby, and maybe even online. So let me know where you're going to be able to watch, because that's how we help each other as a community. We've got to make sure that we get her through these lives and then get her crowned as the winner of The Voice in a few weeks. So best of luck to Ruby. If you haven't seen that show, by the way, that was one of my favorites. Ruby Lee on both YouTube and on Facebook, which we're always streaming Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. on both of those platforms. Be sure to follow and let your friends and family know, if they can't watch on Facebook, that they can watch on YouTube. As far as the weather, as promised, we've got some light rain out there. It should be giving way. Clouds, still chilly though, a high in the mid 40s today. Tomorrow still chilly, mid to upper 40s. It's going to make way for Wednesday. You're going to get into the 50s, and then how about this? Sunshine and in the low 60s Thursday and Friday. And that's fantastic, because on Friday, I know a lot of you are asking if you can come to our 200th show. Absolutely, that's the reason why we're doing it Friday. Tomorrow is officially 200 shows since we started this, but Friday's the big celebration. So we're going to be at Christopher's in Kirkwood, right there by the gazebo, directly across from the Kirkwood Farmers Market. We're going to have music by Johnny Chase, and we secured Abby Stahlschmidt, both of them past guests, incredible musicians. Abby's a singer, a composer, an international model. She's going to be out there with us. I'm going to have the two of them do a song together, and then they'll do some songs solo. We're going to have some food out there, some hot cocoa. The first 23 of you that come, we're going to give some goodie bags away. And why 23? Well, because the show started in 23. All right, all that. We've asked our sponsors to be there. We've asked for you. If you can even swing by, I would say the show's probably going to be from about 7 to 8:30, maybe even 9 o'clock, as I have different guests, past guests that have been on, and our sponsors just popping on for a few minutes and just to say what their favorite thing has been since we launched this show. So yes, 7 a.m. Friday morning. If you want to come, let us know. Just swing on by and celebrate with us. It's been quite an accomplishment. All right, we got a big show to do today, and it's all about your health. So be prepared to bring your questions. I've got my tablet ready. If you have any questions for Dr. Sara Franco or Dr. Charles Willey in this hour, pop them into the comments, and we will be sure to ask for you. We'll have more with Dr. Sara Franco from Invita Health and Wellness when we return. Invita Health and Wellness, where you can feel your best both inside and out. Invita isn't your typical med spa. They're a multi-specialty medical spa and wellness center serving St. Louis and its surrounding areas. They have ketamine for mental health and pain, IV therapy, medical weight loss, and aesthetics treatments. As board-certified anesthesia providers, Invita can ensure that their advanced treatments are provided safely with minimal to no pain. So let Invita take care of you. Call 314-394-0950 to book an appointment, or online invitahealthandwellness.com. Welcome back, 7:06, and it is a Monday morning, and it's December 4th. That means you have 3 weeks. Can you believe this? 3 weeks until Christmas as far as shopping days are concerned. So good luck to you to get the shopping done, get it wrapped, and be ready for the holidays. As you rush, sometimes you lose yourself. And I heard a statistic today that people are more sluggish, they're not sleeping well, they're overeating, they're indulging in more alcohol, all these things that are not really serving you the best. Do you feel bloated? Do you have food issues in general? Well, we're going to talk about today with Dr. Sara Franco, first of all, from Invita Health and Wellness. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is the season, isn't it? Everyone's like, oh, they come off of Thanksgiving, they feel horrible. But what if that's like a daily thing? So then people are like, well, what's wrong? What are the signs I need to be looking for? If it is intolerance, sensitivity, and allergy, bloating would be one of them, wouldn't it be?
Sure. Bloating, abdominal pain, headaches, back pain. Really, anytime you have an insensitivity or a sensitivity to something, then you're going to experience inflammation, and that can just manifest itself in a variety of ways.
Talk about how bad inflammation is for the body.
It's bad for everything. We talk about at Invita, we do things for mental health, their anxiety, depression, sleeping, weight gain, weight loss, mental clarity, all of those things, as well as what we just mentioned, the abdominal pain and the GI symptoms are all related to inflammation.
It's interesting, Sara, because there's a lot of people that would never think that the brain fog that they have is associated with food, and you've probably seen that a lot.
We have, and that's what when we do a consultation for patients, those are one of the things that we talk about. What are your daily habits? Mm-hmm. Do you eat a lot of processed food? Do you eat a lot of greasy food? And don't get me wrong, we had Apple Jacks for breakfast on Saturday morning. But so, we don't all, we even those of us who know if it's good for us or not, don't always eat healthy, but to try to eliminate any of those things that are causing those issues is just going to make you feel better overall.
So if you're just tuning in, again, we're talking today about allergies you might have, intolerance you might have, sensitivities. So, I think a lot of people over the last 10 years, 15 years, they've started hearing about celiac, they started hearing about gluten intolerance, maybe not full-blown celiac disease, but now there's aisles in the grocery store that are devoted to people who are gluten intolerant. There's now, fortunately, because my brother has celiac, there's menus that are geared towards that. So we're looking at the gluten-free aspect. A lot of people talk about that, but there's so much, Sara, and I think in the medical field, can you touch on this? That, peanut allergies, this allergy, that allergy, I don't remember all of that when I was growing up. So what do you think's happening?
I really think a lot of it has to do with the amount of processing that we have with our food and then just not introducing these things into our diet. When I had the triplets, our pediatrician in particular, said at around the age of 6-7 months, start introducing peanut butter to them in just very, very little amounts so that they can, if they're basically their body can get used to processing those kind of things. What I think a lot of patients don't understand is if they think, if they don't have an allergic reaction to something, then it's not just doing something inside of their body. So I have a little brief story. So my triplets, we kind of prided ourselves on the fact that they drink milk, instead of drinking the sugary juices and things like that. And I have 2 girls and a boy, and the boy triplet was just acting out, kind of being combative with his sister, just crying for no reason. You could tell he was just an unhappy little guy. And I was talking to one of my patients about it one day, and she said, "Does he drink cow's milk?" And I said, "Yes, he does drink cow's milk." And she said, "It's all the hormones in that cow's milk." Well, at that point, we would have smeared him with honey if it meant, him behaving. So we stopped letting him drink the milk and we switched to almond milk. Mm-hmm. And within 3 days, completely different kid. It was a 180. He stopped crying. He stopped hitting his sisters. He was a completely different kid. So then fast forward, they start preschool, but they were only going for a half a day. And we were about 3 weeks in and it all started again. And I was like, is somebody giving him milk? And my husband's like, no, they're not even eating lunch there and we're not doing it at home. And then that day he sends me a text message with a little screenshot of him sitting there with his little goldfish crackers and a little carton of milk. And I was like, I knew it. Somebody gave him cow's milk again. So, so there's just, and these manifest in different ways. The girls do just fine with good old vitamin D whole milk, but he cannot do it. So we switched to almond milk for him.
And that is the biggest thing I hope you listen to. All of our bodies are so different. It doesn't even matter if you're in the same family. You've got the genes from your father and your mother. But look how it manifests itself different on one particular child.
Right.
Which is just absolutely crazy. We're not knocking if you want to drink, full 2% milk, etc. You've got to make your choices. But this is more so about paying attention because no one knows your body as well as you do. You hope you have a great advocate in your physicians that will say, well, hey, well, let's look at this, let's look at this. What about when it comes to true allergies? What are the tests to do? I think, is it the little things that'll show up? I've had an allergy test before, and they're looking for like hives and things to pop up, right?
Right. They're looking for some kind of reaction. So if you're talking about a sensitivity, then you're talking about IgG antibodies, and there are screening tests for that.
Okay.
If you're talking about an allergy, then those are IgE mediated responses. So they're a little bit different. One thing to keep in mind is you have to be exposed to something at least once before you can develop an allergy to it. So if you take amoxicillin the first time, you may do fine with it, but 2, 3, 4 times later, then you may start to have a reaction. And that's because your body starts to make those antibodies against that particular antigen. And that's when you're going to start to see those, you're going to start to see those symptoms. So if you eat a food constantly, or if you wear latex gloves constantly, or things like that, that's when you might start to see some of those allergic reactions.
Yeah, and again, I mentioned earlier, I thought around Halloween, however many years ago it was, that some kids have a turquoise little bucket. It's like, oh, they're allergic to this. You got to watch this. You're on a plane. You got, all these things that have changed. And then we're talking first about the calcium aspect. So people switch to almond milk, but then they might have, they can't send that off to school because there's kids, and you mentioned this,
right,
that have nut allergies.
Right.
So then, but then what do you do? Because if you're not sending them off with that, I guess, is it like maybe oat milk or
oat milk, soy milk? I know you've mentioned soy a couple times on the show. So there's a lot of things, but there's so many tree nut allergies that are out there now.
Right.
And allergic responses in medicine, we kind of fight with this quite a bit, whether somebody has a sensitivity to something or if they have an allergy to something. And it's very important that you understand the difference between those things, because, if you came in and you said, I'm allergic to augmentin. Okay, what does augmentin do to you? It makes me have diarrhea. Well, the fact is, augmentin makes everybody have diarrhea. It goes in and cleans out the natural flora of the gut, and that's what the end result is. But by saying you're allergic to augmentin, now you've wiped out an entire class of antibiotics, amoxicillin, penicillin, any of those. So it's if it's GI upset, if it's a headache, if it is those are all sensitivities to medications, sensitivities to food.
Right.
If you start to have obviously hives or whelps or swelling of the lips or those kind of things, then that's going to be an allergy. So
that's what I wanted to ask, is people are saying, well, how will I know if I'm allergic? How do I know if I just have a sensitivity or I have just an intolerance? There is a program that I used to do with my clients that I still to this day love. I think it's one of the best resets that I've ever seen, and it actually used to be through Beachbody. That I used to be a coach with Beachbody. I'm not anymore, but I still am a huge fan of. It's called the Ultimate Reset, and what it allows you to do is through that you only reintroduce one at a time, and you do it over a 2 to 3 time period. If the body reacts okay, then you probably are okay. Then you can do the next. But if you throw it all back in together, you have no idea what you're having a problem with, right?
Exactly. And that's so the food sensitivity testing, which, if we have patients that come in and they just, they're having problems with their gut health, or they have chronic headaches, or, they're having this allergic response to something and they don't really know what it is. And it's not the time of year when there's, everything's blooming and pollen and all those things, myself included, then it's probably something that we're eating. And it can be something as simple as, I had my husband do it. And luckily he wasn't extremely sensitive, because they'll usually rate it on a scale, regardless of what test you do. And the one that we use at the clinic is we just do a finger prick. So we prick your finger. It's like 6 drops of blood across the card, send it off, and then they'll come back with the 96 most common foods. Because another thing to keep in mind is if it isn't a food that you already have in your diet, you're not necessarily going to show a sensitivity to it. If you don't eat buckwheat, for instance, I can't promise, and it says no sensitivity, I can't promise you'll never have a sensitivity, because if you start eating buckwheat and you develop those those antibodies, then you're going to start to have a reaction. But if I remember correctly, his came back, it was like egg yolk, black pepper, basil, and it doesn't mean that he can never eat pepper again, but he needs to limit his pepper intake. So those will show you things that could be causing the problems. You would eliminate those from your diet, and then, like you said, you would start to slowly reintroduce those and see if it was really causing the symptoms that you're having or not.
So that's the one thing that she was just mentioning. If there's an intolerance and it just makes you feel uncomfortable, you have headaches, you're bloating, you just feel sluggish, most likely that's some kind of an intolerance or a sensitivity. Correct. And are you willing to tolerate it? Like your husband was frustrated that he was had an intolerance to basil, right? Or an allergy to basil. So maybe you don't completely give it up, but if you're having like severe problems, an allergic reaction, that's what you have to stay away from. We did just mention soy. I do want to get your input on soy. We'll get Dr. Willey's as well. I don't know if Marilyn's watching, but she was the one that had the question. So we're going to take a quick break. If you got any questions about intolerances, sensitivities, questions about your health that have to do with what you're eating, let us know. We'll pass them along to Dr. Sara Franco. We'll have more with her when we return. Hi, it's Monica Adams. Thank you so much for following along with The Real Monica Adams Show since we launched back in March. But I wanted to let you know there's so much more that I could do with you, your business, your corporation. Did you know that I'm a motivational speaker all around the world, as well as an MC and an auctioneer? So if you have an event, maybe a nonprofit organization, and you want to book me, just shoot me an email, info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com. Personal training, life coaching, and styling as well. info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com. Welcome back. It is 7:17, The Real Monica Adams Show, and we are with Dr. Sara Franco, our title sponsor with Invita Health and Wellness. I mentioned I was going to look down at your comments. Linda, by the way, congratulations. She said on the treadmill this morning and hit her goal 1,500 miles and not stopping. Not sure when you started that. You obviously didn't do 1,500 miles today. I see happy birthday, Ann. Is it Ann, my client's birthday? My past comments are not popping up on here. Oh, it is. Well, goodness gracious, I didn't know that. Happy birthday to you, Ann. I hope you're having a fantastic one. And I want to wish one of our clients that I personal train, Angie, she's getting ready to have total knee replacement today. So that's not a fun one, but all of our healing energy is being sent to you. We want to be healthy. We want to be well. We're talking about food. Okay, so Terry's asking, Sara, can food allergies flare up or be a contributor to keratosis pilaris?
So the keratosis pilaris, I would have to double check on, but absolutely they can flare up. It depends on, how often those things are being consumed in your diet, as well as, if you're eating foods that contain those foods. So there's a lot of times that if you look at the ingredients, it's a mile long on the back of a box. So you just really have to be careful. You think you're eating something that is gluten-free or low in wheats and rye and things like that, and then you look on the back of the box and keep in mind that those ingredients are going to be listed in order. So the ones that are listed first, they're highest in, and then they're going to kind of work their way down. So. And
look, if somebody has full-blown, like my brother has, very bad celiac disease, we're talking about the smallest little crumb dropping in and having the cross-contamination. Now, I had asked Dr. Willey about that in the past, and he's like, well, he must have it really bad. And I said, no, I see that in a lot of people. I mean, that's what you have to be worried about if someone truly has celiac disease.
Correct. You're gonna have to eliminate that from your body.
And read. It's not just like you're like, oh, well, what's gluten? Oh, maybe I'll just stay away from wheat. No, there's a lot. My daughter had an allergy test and has a lot of outdoor allergies, pet allergies now, and is doing weekly allergy shots. Ranch dressing, she said. What does that have to do? I don't know. See, it's hard. It's hard not to have these before. Let's talk about soy. So I want to get and then I know that Dr. Willey looked into it as well. So I have heard in the past, which I think is what Marilyn had been asking, is it not a good thing for women to have too much soy?
So it really depends, from my experience, it really depends on the age of the woman and the amount of soy that we're talking about. Soy in moderation, unless you have a sensitivity or allergy to it, is going to be okay. What we do know about soy is that it mimics the